Hello and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to replace brake lines using this tool. Now I got this from good old cheap eBay, what I call, in other words eBay, for $18. And this is pretty much a $5 tool from Harbor Freight. I have brake lines that rusted out and started leaking out brake fluid. Went to the dealership, they quoted $10 worth of brake lines that don't even make 10 feet worth of brake lines. I'm not paying $100. I'm gonna go ahead and teach you how we could repair and replace these brake lines for $18 and a $5 tool. Stay tuned. Now these are the rusty brake lines I'm talking about. This one right below here is the one that started leaking. The other ones don't look so good either, so I'm gonna replace all three. So whenever you have rusty brake lines, usually you're not going to have just one, and usually you shouldn't replace just one. Replace all the other ones because they lay one next to each other, so most likely your rust is not going to be on just one brake line. It's going to be on all of them. So let's go ahead and replace all of them, but we're going to take one out and shape them to the new brake tubing, and we're going to be careful with the fittings too, because you want to go ahead and take those fittings off and make sure that you don't mess up the thread on the master cylinder. And this one in this case goes to the brake hydraulic unit, and then there's two other ones that go to a brake joint right down there. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but yeah, it's pretty much well behind that steering shaft. That shouldn't be a problem. We do have to somehow or another move this fuse box out the way, maybe even take off the battery. Hope that's not the case, but in any other case, it shouldn't be too hard of a job. Let's get to it. Now I did have to remove two 10mm bolts, one here and the other one right over here, and I'm able to lift this fuse box right off. Whoops. But as you can see, once we pull that fuse box off, there's still a lot more in the way, so it's looking like we're gonna have to remove the battery, and we're gonna have to remove this casing right here, and it doesn't look like it separates from the battery, so we may as well just go ahead and take off the battery right away. Now we're not gonna go ahead and disconnect this fuse box. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the battery tray without it. I can manage by having this in the way. We took off these 13mm bolts and broke one of the clips. That's right, we broke one of the clips because it wouldn't come off and pull up on this. So this casing is just gonna stay like that, and we'll leave the fuse box to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the battery, and that should expose our hydraulic brake unit. Okay, now that we've taken our battery and our battery warmer case off, that battery warmer seen better days, we're gonna go ahead and take off this tray right here. That should be coming off by taking off 1, 2, 3, and 4 bolts off. Should lift right off. There's another one over here, and we should have direct access to our hydraulic pump. So there's another bolt right underneath the fender liner, so we're gonna have to partially remove this so we can get to it. Okay, aside from those bolts I just showed you before, there's one more here that bolts on, I guess, directly to the hydraulic ABS unit. And then, right down here, these guys are geniuses. Right down here, there's another one. So if you try to yank on the on that battery case, yeah, don't forget about the bolt down here. And this is what it looks like right after we took that battery casing off. Here it is right here. So this is our hydraulic unit, and this is the brake line that's rusty. So I'm going to replace that one, I'm going to replace this one, and the one that comes out of here, if you follow, it goes right there. The one behind the master cylinder, the rear of the master cylinder, goes down to that joint. Okay, so here's what it looks like after I took those two lines off the hydraulic unit. I set the hydraulic unit down there in the frame, and now we're gonna go ahead and remove the worst one, which is this one. We're going down to that joint and remove that line, and like I said, one at a time. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, here's that joint. We're gonna take off this one, then we'll move on to the other ones. This is located right on top of the frame on the driver's side. Okay, we have now taken that off. Okay, as you can see here now, this line's completely off. I'm gonna head take it off. Rusty old brake line. Look at this thing. So the way this works is you need a flaring tool set, which is this thing right here, and you need a tubing cutting tool. This right here you get from Harbor Freight for about $5, and it'll do the job just fine. What you want to do is, first of all, you look at the old brake line. Okay, obviously you just got to make sure it's the same size tube, and this is 1/4 inch line, this is 1/4 inch line. You take your one tool that you think is going to have the right hole size, you put it in here, and this is the correct one. This will go right here, okay, and obviously we'll put the brake line in here, and then we'll start making the hole. Okay, so I've already installed 2 of the lines. We need 1 more. This is it's kind of challenging because since you can't bend the lines before installing them, you have to make sure that when you do install them, they're not rubbing on anything. Like, for example, on here, it's rubbing against that intermediate steering shaft. So that's what you don't want to bend them beforehand, because then if you bend them beforehand and install them, then what you're going to encounter is that you might try to bend them back, and then you're going to just end up kinking them. You don't want to do that. So what I did is just try to bend it as much as I can, to the point where I'm able to thread the one fitting in as I see it right here, and then I'm going to try shaping it to where I want it. Remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, you know, good enough where there's no kings, no hard bends. You know, it's not going to rub on anything, and you know, it just does its job. Sends fluid from one place to another.
Alright, so you just seen it all yourself. It wasn't exactly a walk in the park, but if you set aside some time throughout your day, I'm sure you could get it done. So now, I am going to tell you that you didn't see everything in detail. It took some time to edit this video, but there was a lot of mistakes that I made, especially when going through the flaring process the first 2 times. But if everything was easy for the first time, life would lack the sense of accomplishment and personal growth that comes from overcoming challenges. And this is exactly what this was. This was a challenge. So don't get frustrated. All you need is pretty much what I told you before: 3/16 line tubing, the brake line cutting tool. Unless you think you're going to be doing this on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, then get yourself a brake line flaring tool. Other than that, then just go loan it from your local parts store and pick up yourself some brake fluid while you're there. Also, I got my brake line tubing from Cheap, but if you're wanting to get it from somewhere else, go right ahead. Just make sure you get a good one and it's made out of steel. At least that's what mine is. Anyways, I would say that totaling out everything, I was in and out for roughly $35, give or take. So you're definitely this is definitely within budget to do. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification icon if you want to get notified for next time I post a new video. Anyways, if you want to tackle this job yourself, let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. You'll see me in the next video. Best to you.